I did, however, have to confess my sins in front of the entire congregation. And I didn't really get that, but at the time I was just willing to unload my shame. And I learned that people were afraid of my story because they couldn't understand why somebody with a peppered past like mine would be so talkative and open about where I'd come from. And my response was always, I had been forgiven of quite a bit. And so all these years later, I now counsel people who have confessed publicly, but yet been stoned privately. So whatever position or volunteer role they had, it was suddenly eked away or withdrawn from. And that's because people in the church, they'd rather just pray something away. They're not understanding that there is about 50 parts that every human has, because in Psalm 51:6, it says that Jesus and the Spirit goes to those inward parts. That people that suffered from trauma and sexual abuse, they've created more parts that are distant from the Lord, that need to have a come to Jesus moment, and they're going to need other people to come alongside them, love them through the process of meeting themselves part by part. That is not a quick fix. That is not, let's just deliver this person of a sexual, lustful spirit and deviancy, and then be about your way and stop sinning, sir. It's like, no, we can get the demon out of the way first, and okay, strong man, you get that done, and then it's inner healing work, and that's recovery, and that takes time, and that means sitting in a small group that's truly safe. And I don't think that we're going to find them. We haven't found them, I'd say, up until now, within a church setting. And I think the Lord's about to change all of that, because there's people like me that can come into the atmosphere and know who is hiding, know who is presenting. I can relate to a lot of people. And yet the beauty is they can come and share with me some of the gravest stories, and it doesn't shock me at all, because I've been in the scene. I've helped other people walk out of the scene. I partook in things that other people don't want to even look at because they think they're better. And so I let them. The remnant, this spiritual awakening that's happening on this earth, those of us that are wanting to have a spiritual house in which we can worship, we are going to be a hospital to those that have mental anguish, that have suffered serious trauma as children before the age of 10, before those double digits, which means that parts of them need to have a supernatural experience, and they can. But they have to be willing. And I'm going to encourage those people, if you hear me right now, know that there is help for you, but you will have to seek it out. And I know going to church is the ideal place because you want that corporate worship, and that's great, go for that. But when it comes to you finding you and turning back to those broken places, those parts that are still suffering with identity, with why you do what you do, you will need to come into others' presence who can securely tell you that God is not disappointed. He is not embarrassed on your behalf. He does not want you to be publicly humiliated. He does not want you to confess in front of all these people who are going to just take it and run with it like gossip. He is now presenting you a royal priesthood. You have every right to get what you need. And healing is the children's bread. And that means inner healing is a daily walkout. And it is hard. But recovery is sustainable when you do parts work, when you look at all those individual parts that still are suffering, and they still lust after this, or they still hone in this and white knuckle it and make sure that you don't act out and be crazy according to somebody else's definition. Hope is on the horizon, and healing is here, and it will not look scary. It will not be, talking about all this demonization, because in reality, it's between you and him and the safety of your relationship.